What's up, family? Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, or if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Today we got Richard Marks coming back to the stand to testify.
Just give us a second. No, sir, you've already, just remind that you're still under oath, okay, sir?
But it's a good day for Johnny. Today is a good day for Johnny. Bad day for Amber. Let's see. I was actually looking forward to Jennifer Howe testifying, but it wasn't what we thought it was going to be. So I didn't even make that clip. This is an old deposition, and it looks like they edited the hell out of it. They just took out so much from it. You can tell it's just jumping off the case. It didn't have that impact that I was expecting to have. But Richard Marks, he does a good job.
All right. Good morning, sir. All right.
He gives a lot of good information.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor. Welcome back, Mr. Marks. You've testified in this case previously, but would you just briefly remind the jury who you are?
I'm Richard Marks, and I'm a full-time entertainment transactional attorney. I make deals every day for productions and for individuals. I'm in the trenches negotiating and then making sure the contracts reflect the deals. And I'm very much distinguished from the other side's expert who is not an attorney, who's not in the trenches making deals, is not in that day-to-day process.
Did this freeze? Oh, that looked like this froze. Let me see. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, it looked like it froze. Hmm. Oh, it did freeze.
Renegotiation. So you've got a contract for a multi-picture deal. It's usually a franchise, and you negotiate the first movie. And normally, if they get the part, they're the chosen one. They're the stars born moment, if you will. They get the part. Normally, their salary is inflated from their normal salary because now they're going to play a character that could go on for 4 movies. In this case, Ms. Heard's first salary when she got the part was $450,000. If Warner Brothers and DC Comics decided to make a next movie, they could recast her. They had no obligation. All they had was an option. But if they did cast her up front, that they had agreed to more than double her salary, like 2.25 times to get to the $1 million. These are large bumps, if you will. They're if an actor is on a series, say, they go, and they have 5 options. They go up in increments of 5%, 10%, 20%, not these multiples that you see in a test option agreement. And that's one of the reasons that they aren't renegotiated normally. They are in some instances, but not normally.
What's the significance of the test part in a test option agreement?
The test significance is that an established actor usually wouldn't test. They'd be offered the role. Ms. Heard was in a group of actors that needed to be tested to see if the studio wanted to hire them, and then if they hired them, they would be locked up for potentially 4 movies at very lucrative increases, because after Aquaman 1, she gets to $1 million, Aquaman 2, she gets to $2 million, and Aquaman 3, you get to $4 million. These are unheard of bumps if you're going on a normal career and trying to increase your salary by increments.
In your experience, what is customary for negotiations of multi-picture deals?
Well, I think what happened in this case was customary for negotiation of multi-picture deals. And by that I mean that you assume success. The reason you go from the first Justice League movie where Ms. Heard played Mira the first time, the reason you more than double her salary is you assume success. So you've already built in the bonus that Ms. Arnold was referring to, a renegotiation, if you will, for the 3rd movie. Instead of doubling her salary, Ms. Arnold said it would only be fair to quadruple her salary. And that's just not the way these idiosyncratic contracts work. They're a very small portion of the contracts we deal with.
Are you familiar with Ms. Arnold's opinion that Ms. Heard's salary for Aquaman 2 could have been renegotiated to around $4 million?
I am.
Do you agree with that opinion?
No.
Why not?
Well, as I've said, that would now be, after a healthy first payday, it's more than doubled, and now it would be quadrupled. That's not the way it happens. Walter Hamada, who is the president of that part of the studio, said it doesn't happen. They're not going to do it. Ms. Arnold, for some substance, says, well, Jason Momoa got to do it, but she doesn't give us any of the details. We know that Jason Momoa was in a movie before the Justice League. He played Aquaman in a movie not with Ms. Mira in that movie. So he had a history before the first movie with Amber Heard. He played Aquaman. We don't know what his contract, the state of it was when you got to Aquaman 2, and she says, unsupported, that he renegotiated. We're not sure what he renegotiated to. But I can say that at the end of the option period, when you've only got one option left, and you want that star in more movies, you may renegotiate, but it's not a gratuity. It's, we'll give you more for the last option if you'll give us 3 more options. It's a give and take. And unfortunately, Ms. Arnold didn't give us any of that background or those building blocks. And then I think yesterday she said, and the other actors renegotiated. And again, we don't know their salary history. We don't know their contracts. We don't know anything except she's asking you just to believe her as what I refer to as a professional expert.
Are you aware that Ms. Arnold's opined that, but for the alleged defamatory statements by Mr. Waldman, Ms. Heard would have earned $45 million in the last 18 months and then the next 3 to 5 years?
Yes, I am.
I'd like to address some of the components of that one by one with you, Mr. Marks. Are you familiar with her testimony that Ms. Heard would continue to make films for approximately $4 million each following Aquaman 2?
Yes.
Do you agree with that testimony?
No.
Why not?
Well, again, in Aquaman 2, Amber Heard has already had this huge increase. She worked on Aquaman 2 for $2 million. What Ms. Arnold is saying is, oh, she should have worked on it for $4 million, which I disagree with, and I think there is reasons to negotiate. They weren't here in this case. So the $4 million I have a disagreement with, but even if it was at $4 million, or if it was at $2 million, the 4 or 5 movies that Ms. Heard might get might be independent movies. They might be standalone studio movies. They might be passion projects. Every actor has a quiver full of quotes, and their highest quote is for the superhero fantasy journey. Their lowest quote might be for the independent passion project, where they'll defer their salary and almost take nothing to work, just SAG minimum, and to assume that she'd get 4 or 5 more movies at this, her last fantasy quote, would be to assume that those are also those type of movies, playing another character. And Ms. Arnold says that Ms. Heard's breakout moment, her Star is Born moment, is Christmas 2018. If that's true, and I don't think it's true, those moments don't normally happen to supporting cast, but if it's true, as a deal maker, you would expect, if you represented producers, production companies, to flock in, to take advantage of this hot star and to sign them up. And we have, from Christmas 2018 to spring 20, where there is none of this activity. The Star is Born phenomena didn't happen. Ms. Heard starred in one series of 8 episodes, and she earned a healthy fee, $200,000 an episode. But that's 5 times less than the $1 million Miss Arnold is tossing out, supposedly based on Jason Momoa's quote. She doesn't prove it or give us facts. And Jason Momoa is not a comparable actor. He's been in a series where they shot 78 episodes, 44 episodes, exactly. 21 episodes. He played Conan the Barbarian. He was in Game of Thrones. It's not a comparable.
Unresponsive to.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question. Mr. Marks, we'll get to some of those issues in a moment, but I want to take you back for a second. I believe you testified a few minutes ago that your understanding is that the last option in a multi-picture deal might be renegotiated under some circumstances. Do you have an understanding of whether Aquaman 2 was the last option in Ms. Heard's contract with Warner Brothers?
Oh, no. Aquaman 2 has not even been released, and Warner Brothers has a 4th option for Aquaman 3 or another movie where Mira appears, that character, and they've agreed to double the salary again. So it's in success, and that assumes that they recast and that they make the movie.
Are you aware of Ms. Arnold's testimony that Ms. Heard would have made several $1 million on endorsement deal?
She's messing herself up because she got paid for Aquaman 1. Aquaman 2, she was actually on the chopping block. They didn't want to bring her back. They weren't sure if they were going to recast her role or bring her back. And they actually brought her back. And she was paid for it. But now, all this is coming up. She's doing all this complaining. Who's to say that they're going to pick her up for Aquaman 3? They might recast her. But I don't wish bad on anybody. Even though she's doing all this I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, lying. I still don't wish bad on people. Just you know.
Such as the one she had with L'Oreal.
I'm aware of that testimony.
Do you agree with that opinion?
No.
Why not?
Again, this is a business of personalities. We didn't, after the breakout moment that Ms. Arnold talked about, Christmas 2018, we didn't see endorsement deals flocking to Ms. Heard during that 16-month period before Adam Waldman made a few statements in the London Daily Mail, I believe it was. We didn't see those endorsements coming to her. We didn't, what Ms. Arnold shows you is these non-comparable actors, they had endorsement deals. But she doesn't show you, when she describes the breakout moment and why she's comparing Amber Heard to these, what I call uncomparable actors, but she's making the comparison. She's saying, well, they had all these deals, why wouldn't she? But for the statements that happened 16 months later, and I guess my primary question is what happened in the 16 months, even if you believe 3 statements in the Daily Mail are the stake through the heart of this Stars Born moment.
Do you have an opinion about Ms. Arnold's testimony that Ms. Heard would have made $1 million an episode in a couple of streaming series following her A Star is Born moment?
Yes, I heard it. I have an opinion.
What's your opinion?
Well, after Aquaman 1, this is a major coup. Amber Heard got that role. She tested for it. She could have been the other 19 actresses or 10 or whoever else tested, didn't get it. She got the role, and she got her salary doubled for Aquaman 1 to $1 million. Now, Ms. Arnold wants you to believe that that $1 million would translate into, she'd get that for each episode of a series. We know what she got for a series. She got a series in that period after Christmas 2018, before spring of 2020. She got a series. It was 8 episodes, and it was $200,000 an episode. And Miss Arnold is from somewhere in a glib way saying she got a couple series and $1 million each. And I can tell you, as someone in the trenches, rarely does an actor get $1 million for a series episode. And again, in those 16 months, there were no offers for series at $1 million an episode. In fact, her only series is the $200,000. And if you look at her resume, the series that Ms. Heard were in, I think the longest one ran 8 episodes. Jason Momoa, if you were to believe Ms. Arnold, and somehow Jason Momoa's agent broke their confidentiality in the agreement, and he had a series at $1 million an episode, if you're to believe that, Jason Momoa has had a series with 78 episodes, with 44 episodes, with 21 episodes, with 18 episodes, with 21 episodes. He was in, again, there's not a comparableness there.
We spoke a few minutes ago about the test option agreement. What's the significance of the option part of that agreement?
The option part of the agreement gives the employer, the studio, the option. They don't have to do anything. They have an option to either employ you at a very healthy salary to play this role or not. They can recast the superhero role. You just have to think of how many actors have played Batman or Superman. They can do what they want.
Yep, they recast.
And indeed, since there's no contract, they only have a choice to exercise their option or not. They might say, we're not exercising unless you reduce your compensation. Who knows what the negotiation would be? but it's not a contract until the studio exercises the option, and they don't have to.
What's the alternative to an option agreement?
Well, the alternative is most agreements in Hollywood, you're hired to play the role. Or once you exercise the option, then it becomes, for that picture, an agreement like others in Hollywood. You are now hired to play that role. So most contracts are guaranteed, you're hired to play the role. In an option agreement, once they exercise the option, for that movie, it becomes a guaranteed contract.
Are you aware that Ms. Arnold testified that Ms. Heard was released from her Aquaman 2 contract and then subsequently rehired?
I heard that testimony.
Is that consistent with your experience of the film industry in connection with these multi-option contracts?
No.
Why not?
Again, studios don't do things they don't have to do. As we heard Mr. Hamada, the president of the studio, say, you either exercise your option or you don't. They exercise their option. He denied releasing and then rehiring, and in my experience, in almost 5 decades in the business, doing this type of work, not talking about it, not consulting. I mean, I have, I heard Ms. Arnold say she'd been an expert 100 times. I'm a transactional lawyer. I do this occasionally. Basically, it's not a contract till they option it, and they pick up their option, and at that point, it's a guaranteed contract, and then different rules apply to it.
In your experience in the industry, do studios typically comment on those types of actions that they're taking with respect to options?
No, just like Mr. Hamada said, they don't need to comment on it. They either exercise the option or they don't. In Hollywood, silence is the default. You play no card before it's time. And the cards there were exercise the option or not. And I was surprised by Mr. Hamada under oath basically saying that there was this discussion of chemistry. That
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
I think it was an in-court statement this morning, I believe, Your Honor. That's fine.
It's the same hearsay that you were, it's hearsay like yesterday. I mean, it's hearsay.
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Thank you.
I didn't hear.
Go ahead, sir.
Overruled. You can continue, Mr.
Oh,
Ferguson.
I was surprised to hear Mr. Hamada say that they talked about chemistry. That would normally be behind closed doors because it can't help your relationship with the actor. You're either going to exercise or not. And that was quite a bit of candor from someone at his level. And so, therefore, I take it at face value. I think he felt that he was under oath and he was telling the truth, but it wouldn't
Objection,
be.
Your Honor, is.
I'll sustain the objection.
Mr. Marks, are there circumstances where a studio would be more likely to say something about not using an actor again in a franchise?
Yes.
What are those circumstances?
Once they've exercised the option, once the contract is guaranteed, the studio still has the right to pay the actor but not play them, pay or play them. And that is a rare condition because you've hired the actor, you've got to pay them, but you say, go home, we're recasting. In that situation, after you've exercised the option and the contract is guaranteed, if you pay off the actor, that's normally commented on. That becomes a bit of information because it's not normal.
Is that circumstance different from Ms. Heard's contract with Warner Brothers for the Aquaman movies?
Oh, yeah. Ms. Heard's contract, again, it was just an option. Either we exercise it or we don't. And if we exercise it, she's in the film. If we don't, she's not. Until we exercise it, we have our right to recast or not make the movie. And even after we exercise it, we'd still have a right to recast and not make the movie. We just have to pay her salary.
Do you understand that Ms. Arnold compares Ms. Heard's career trajectory with that of other actors, including Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, Zendaya, Ana de Armas, and Chris Pine?
I heard that.
And what's your opinion of those actors as comparables for Ms. Heard?
Even Ms. Heard's agent, Jessica Kay, said that 4 of those actors weren't
Objection, Your Honor,
comparable.
hearsay.
I believe same response, Your Honor, that it was in testimony that was played in court earlier this week.
I mean, that's not what she testified to. I mean, he's characterizing testimony that was from days ago, and I don't even think she testified to that, Your Honor.
But you can cross-examine overruled.
Overruled. You may continue, Mr. Rivers.
Again, they are not comparable. Jason Momoa was Aquaman. Chris Pine was Captain Kirk. Gal Gadot was Wonder Woman. Zendaya has been working on Disney Channel since she was 13. She's in all the Spider-Man movies. She goes by one name. Ana de Armas, when she was in a movie that they call, her breakout, it was as a nude poster. She's been an ensemble piece, Knives Out. These are not comparables. Now, Ms. Arnold stuck to Jason Momoa, who's the most non-comparable because of his history and his career, but she didn't give us the advantage of telling us what his contracts were, what he renegotiated to, what he earned. She didn't give us any of those building blocks. She just she set him up as a comparable and then said what Ms. Heard should earn, but she never gave us the salary of Jason Momoa or the other comparables. And she built like this house of cards on nothing.
And that's been her problem with
she
Amber
showed
Heard.
us
They have no
with her
evidence.
words, the
They
beautiful
just make
clothing
accusations.
that the emperor was wearing. But we could see, if you
Evidence.
know the business,
Objection, Your Honor.
that he
Go
wasn't.
beyond the scope of the question.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. You were just speaking about Mr. Momoa as a comparable. Are you aware that Ms. Arnold compares Ms. Heard to Mr. Momoa as an actor with equivalent franchise experience who was able to renegotiate his salary for significant increases in bonus?
Yes.
What's your response to that opinion?
Again, he didn't have comparable franchise experience to Ms. Heard. He was Conan the Barbarian. He played Aquaman in a movie that Amber Heard was not in. He played Aquaman, not a supporting character like Mira. It's just not comparable. And you can say the words, but I saw nothing from Miss Arnold to back it up.
He was in Stargate,
Something to build
Atlantis.
on, which, if she was a negotiator in the trench, the studio negotiator would say, okay, so show us. Where's the comps? Let's talk numbers, because ultimately that's where we have to get to, not just because you say it's so. We just don't believe you. You've got to show us.
In your experience in the industry, what factors influence the negotiation of the terms of a film agreement with an actor?
Well, I mean, first it depends on the film. If the film is $1 million movie and everybody's deferring their salaries, that's one thing. If it's a superhero movie, that's another. But for deal makers and negotiators, the best predictor of what the deal should be is past earnings, precedent, comps. You also look at the budget of the movie, what it can bear, because if Jason Momoa's comp is $10 million, but the budget's $10 million, obviously he has another price for that movie. But the best predictor of future earnings is past earnings. And I didn't see any, Ms. Arnold talked about past earnings at all, except the earnings in this rarefied superhero 4-picture deal where instead of incremental increases, which you normally see, it was multiples increases. And then when you get on a series, the big renegotiation was when the network has no more options. Until then, the actors on the series get 5, 10, 15 small percentage raises. They don't get multiples. They get the multiples if it's a success and the studio wants to continue making the series and they want to keep these characters. That's when the renegotiation happens. Here, even if we believe Ms. Arnold, after Aquaman 2, there was still an option waiting at a big price, double the previous payday.
What's the significance of the timing of the Waldman statements to the opportunities Ms. Arnold claims Ms. Heard lost?
Well, the argument, as I understand it, is that Ms. Arnold says that Ms. Heard lost all these opportunities because of those losses were caused by Adam Waldman's statements 16 months later. So I think the timing.
Sure.
Now, I know you guys keep hearing him say Miss Arnold. If you're not sure who that is, it's Catherine Arnold. She testified yesterday. I got a video up with her testimony. Maybe I'll put a link up here. That is if you haven't seen it.
Mr. Marks, what's your overall assessment of Ms. Arnold's opinions in this case?
My overall assessment of her opinions is that they're not worth the paper they're not written on. She knows something about our business, but not about negotiating deals. She may have gotten someone at the Endeavor office to breach confidentiality, but she never laid out the building blocks.
Excuse me, there's an objection. You have to stop talking, Mr. Marks. Thank you. Beyond the scope.
Yeah, Mr. Marks, can you just limit your testimony to your opinion about
Okay.
Ms. Arnold's opinions, please?
My opinion, as someone who's made deals as a deal maker for almost 50 years, is that she calls herself an expert, but she's not. She doesn't have the background. She doesn't have the day-to-day knowledge. And her testimony that I heard did not back up her bottom line. If you want to get those figures, you have to show why they're deserved. And again, she was constructing a Jenga without the bottom pieces. It does not hold up under scrutiny by someone who makes deals.
No further questions.
All right, cross-examination.
Good morning, Mr. Marks.
Good morning.
So you agree that studios use comps to negotiate deals, correct, with actors?
Sometimes they do.
And you have an issue with the comps that Ms. Arnold used, correct, as you testified to?
I have an issue with the comps that she says she used that she didn't disclose.
The comps being the actors that you just talked about. She did disclose, she disclosed the actors.
She disclosed the actors and budget figures from their movies. She never disclosed their salaries and salary history as comps.
You're not offering a different set of comparators that should be used, correct?
I'm saying if you are going to,
That's not my question. Are you offering a different set of comparators than what Ms. Arnold used?
I'm not here offering comparators. I'm saying what she offered are not comparators.
That was my question. You're not offering comparators, correct?
No, I would say that Ms.
That was
Bird's
my
comparisons
sir,
are where
respectfully,
you
that
look.
was my question. Could motion to strike after the.
All right, we'll strike after that. Just answer the questions, Mr. Marks. Thank you.
Now, you're a deal maker, correct?
Yes.
What actors have you negotiated for in superhero movies?
Well, recently I've negotiated for Chris Pratt in a superhero series for Amazon. I've negotiated a deal for Michael Douglas, not in a superhero movie, but a historical movie. I've negotiated recently a deal for Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell on an Apple series. Billy Crudup on an Apple series. Those are the recent talent deals.
What actors have you negotiated for in a superhero movie?
As I sit here now, I can't remember a superhero movie that I've negotiated. I've certainly negotiated over my career franchise movies and fantasy movies.
Your Honor, so it's no, you haven't negotiated for any actors for superhero movies, correct?
So you would define like, I don't know, Jungle Book isn't a superhero movie. It's more of a fantasy.
Okay, so no, correct. Your answer
Okay,
is no.
all right. So as I sit here, I can't think of a Marvel type superhero movie that I've negotiated. Although I know there's one or two in there.
Now, you testified and you agree that Mr. Momoa negotiated his multi-picture contract for Aquaman 2, correct?
I heard Mr. Hamada say there was a renegotiation, but no facts were pro-offered, such as he didn't have an option. His options were out. What he was earning and what he renegotiated to, and he is Aquaman Man. So yes, I did hear there was a renegotiation.
And you understand that his salary went from $3 to $4 million to $15 million.
If you tell me that, I haven't seen his contract and I haven't heard any.
You agree that
Yes, $4 million.
would you agree that the money Amber was making on Aquaman 2 or 3 would be her market rate for future studio movies?
I would think it would be her rate for future studio superhero movies, but not necessarily studio movies that aren't superheroes. That could be standalone. That could be other type of studio movies.
But for studio superhero movies, it would be $4 million, correct?
If I was Ms. Heard's agent, that's where I would start. Assuming everything was equal, the budget of the superhero movie, that she was in the ensemble. There's a lot of ifs to look at, but all things being equal.
You agree that Aquaman was a breakthrough role for Ms. Heard, wasn't it?
It's the first movie of that ilk that she makes, but she is not Aquaman. She is Mira.
But it was a breakthrough movie for Ms. Heard, correct?
For her, it's a breakthrough movie to be in that film and in the ensemble. Absolutely.
And she was the female star of that movie, correct?
I believe so.
You would agree that for all of the actors Ms. Arnold listed as comparables, their career trajectory went up after their breakthrough, correct?
She didn't give us the raw materials to look at, but I'll take your word that all those unrelated actors in unrelated films, except for Jason Momoa, they went up. As did Miss Arnold when she went from 1 to 2.
In your experience, can you identify an actor or an actress who's not been able to get a new studio movie after a breakthrough performance in a superhero movie?
As I sit here now, I haven't been asked to opine on that, but there are lots of supporting characters in movies that don't appear in the next movie.
But a female star in a breakthrough movie in a superhero movie, can you identify any actress who's not gotten another studio movie after that?
Well, after Miss Heard's breakthrough in 2018, she did get Aquaman 2.
Aquaman 2 was already, she already had the option for Aquaman 2,
all right,
correct?
so she did. Miss Heard did not get any movies after 2018, long before the Adam Waldman statements.
Other than Ms. Heard, can you identify any actor or actress who's not gotten another studio movie after their breakthrough in a superhero movie?
As I sit here now, I haven't been asked to research that, and I can't. That would be a normal thing.
And you're not providing an alternative number for Ms. Heard's damages, correct, for the jury?
Correct. I'm not providing an alternate number. I think, she's been more than adequately paid.
I'd move to strike after no, I've not been provided another number. That's all. I mean, my question was you're not providing another number.
I think it's in fairness and the full answer to the question, Your Honor.
It was a yes or no question. He said his answer was no.
I'm not going to strike it.
Okay. All right. No further questions.
All right. Redirect.
Mr. Marks, in response to some questions from Mr. Nadehaft, you were discussing some franchise and fantasy movie agreements that you've negotiated with actors. Could you just describe some of those for us?
I've had such a long career that I mainly forget what I've done, but I negotiated all the contracts for Pinocchio, if you will, that was produced. Is Coming to America, the original, is that a fantasy movie? The Golden Child, is that a fantasy movie? And by the way, I may have negotiated contracts and ultimately the film wasn't made, but as I sit here now, those are the only ones that come to pass. If I was looking at my resume or going through my files, I might think of others, but there isn't a deal that I haven't made.
And I think you also testified in response to Mr. Nadelhaft's questions that you have negotiated some deals for Chris Pratt and Paul Rudd. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes, these are for a streaming series.
Do you happen to know if both of those actors have played Marvel superheroes?
I believe they have, but don't quote me because, that's not my genre.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Marks. You can, you're free to stay in the courtroom or you can leave, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Your next witness.
Okay, guys. Thanks for watching.
Plaintiff calls Michael Spindler.
Michael Spindler.